good morning, ENG for you. Let's continue on here with Act 2, Scene 2, and get right into Act 3, Scene 3. So we're going to pick up right at Hamlet's soliloquy here. 'Tis now the very witching time of night.
'Tis now the very witching time of night, when churchyards yawn and hell itself breathes out contagion to this world. Now could I drink heart blood and do such bitter business as the day would quake to look on. Soft. Now to my mother. O heart, lose not thy nature. Let not ever the soul of Nero enter this firm bosom. Let me be cruel, not unnatural. I will speak daggers to her, but use none. My tongue and soul in this be hypocrites. How in my words somever she be shent, to give them seals, never my soul consent.
All right, so just a quick recap here. This speech is really Hamlet sharing his uncomfortableness with the fact that he has to go and talk to his mother. So he's foreshadowing here. It is the very witching time of night. I need to do this. I need to be on my game. The churchyard is young and hell itself breathes out. So he must breathe out some hellish comments to his mother as well. So foreshadowing that, there's some negativity that's going to go down for sure. Hell itself, hell itself breathes out contagion. Contagion, again, disease-bearing mists. So here we have a reference to the fact that there is big disease, there's toxicity in the state of Denmark. Now could I drink hot blood and do such bitter business as the day would quake to look on, soft now to my mother. He must be able to balance his anger and his love for her. So he's asking for help to be able to do that, to balance my words with my actions, and to help him make sure he doesn't go too far. And he references Nero here, the Roman emperor, who was rumored to have put his mother to death. So he doesn't want to go that far, but he wants to make sure he goes deep enough to get her to realize, to wake up her disloyalty to her ex-husband, or her true first husband, and how unnatural it is. And again, we discussed this before. The Elizabethans would recognize the unnaturalness of that certainly more than we would. It's very kind of natural to marry again in this day and age. Okay, so he says, my tongue and soul in this be hypocrites. I will not express all the bitterness in my soul. Help me balance it so that I don't go too far, but I want to go just far enough. How in my words soever she be shent, I'm going to shame her. Shent. Shame, put to shame. I'm gonna pull out all of my resources, and hopefully get her to crack and realize how terribly she has betrayed me, basically. Okay, so let's get right into Act 3, Scene 3. Okay. In this act, Scene 3, Claudius's plans are moving ahead quickly as he prepares Rosencrantz and Guildenstern to accompany Hamlet to England. So again, he's shipping Hamlet off because he's recognized if Hamlet is not mad with love for Ophelia, then what is driving his madness? He starts to believe that there's a more sinister reason for it. And he recognizes that it could be dangerous, right? That he needs to keep hold of the madness because it could really evolve into some real danger. So he's decided he's going to ship him off to England. Then, alone on stage, Claudius struggles with his conscience and tries to pray for forgiveness. The operative word here is tries to pray for forgiveness. However, we're going to see that he's not really that sorry. He doesn't want to give up his crown and his queen. And so again, we say he tries to pray. He knows, however, that prayer alone will not bring forgiveness if he continues to benefit from his sin. Hamlet enters, sees the king at prayer, and debates with himself whether or not to kill him. So he recognizes, if I kill him at prayer, that will send him straight to heaven, and that will defeat my purpose. So he recognizes there's more delay now. And then again, that brings back all of these feelings that he is inadequate, that he is not perfect, contributing more to possibly an existential crisis. Yeah, Dylan.
Was his plan specifically to send Claudius to hell, or was it just to equalize things and make it so that his father could go to heaven and Claudius off the throne?
Oh, nice question. I think there's a dual purpose there. I think he definitely wants to save his father from purgatory, but I think that there is a revenge motive there as well. And I think he's stated that a couple times. Good question. Double purpose. Okay, scene 3, a room in the same. Enter King Rosencrantz and Guildenstern. So right away, the king is going to express, I don't trust him, meaning Hamlet. The first line.
I like him not, nor stands it safe with us to let his madness range. Therefore prepare you. I your commission will forthwith dispatch, when he to England shall along with you. The terms of our estate may not endure hazard so dangerous as that hourly grow out of his lunacies.
Okay, so again, we see the king unraveling here too, right? And so this theme of madness is really going to branch out and affect not just Hamlet, but some other characters as well. Ophelia, we're going to see, really unravels, and the king here starts to unravel as well. Interesting to note that the only people that really understand why Claudius is really angry are Hamlet and Horatio. The rest, everybody else, is clueless. Like, so what? The king left. What, they haven't pieced it together yet.
We will ourselves provide. Most holy and religious fear it is to keep those many, many bodies safe that live and feed upon your majesty.
Brutal betrayal here, Guildenstern. So the king says, I don't trust him. He's growing more and more crazy as the days go on. It is best to get him out of the country as quick as possible. And Guildenstern agrees. Yes, he says, I will provide accompaniment for Hamlet to England myself, and I'll make sure, I will ensure to you that that Denmark will be safe with him gone. This is his friend.
Single and peculiar life is bound with all the strength and armour of the mind to keep itself from annoyance, but much more that spirit upon whose weal depends and rests the lives of many. The cease of majesty dies not alone, but like a gulf doth draw what's near it with it.
Oh, Rosencrantz. Then he goes on to say, I agree with you. He's dangerous. And the fact that he holds this important position means that he doesn't just live alone, a peculiar life, not affecting anyone. He affects everybody, kind of like a wheel. He's going to go on to say he affects everybody like the spokes in a wheel. Interesting, because that is the symbol of fortune, right? Fortuna. So Guildenstern and Rosencrantz here, huge betrayal.
It is a messy wheel fixed on the summit of the highest mount, to whose huge spokes 10,000 lesser things are morticed and adjoined, which when it falls, each small annexment, petty consequence, attends the boisterous ruin.
All right, so line 15-16, the cease of majesty dies not alone, the death of a king, but like a gulf doth draw what's near with it. So a gulf here, a whirlpool. So this is a really good image of what Rosencrantz thinks is happening here. He believes that his friend is losing his mind and cannot be trusted, and that his lunacy is like a whirlpool, and it's sucking everybody into it. He thinks it's dangerous for the country, for Denmark.
Never alone did the king sigh, but with a general groan.
Arm you, I pray you, to this speedy voyage, for we will fetters put upon this fear which now goes too free-footed.
We will haste us.
We will hurry this up. We'll get him out of here.
Lord, he's going to his mother's closet. Behind the arras, I'll convey myself to hear the process. I'll warrant she'll tax him home, and as you said, and wisely was it said, 'tis meet that some more audience than a mother, since nature makes them partial, should o'erhear the speech of vantage. Fare you well, my liege. I'll call upon you ere you go to bed and tell you what I know.
So again, here we have Polonius spying. We're not surprised by this. Also, he's sticking his nose into this business. I mean, it would be so easy for Claudius to just ask Gertrude what happened, right? But Polonius has to get his nose in there. He's going to hide behind an arras, behind a tapestry on the wall. Again, truth versus deception, appearance versus reality. Appearing to not be there, but of course, spying. Polonius then says he's on his way to his mother's room. I suppose, I predict, I warrant she'll tax him home. She's going to scold him thoroughly, like in the way that only a mother can do, right? So she is at an advantageous position being his mother, and she can really lay into him. Now, there's some irony in this, because what's really going to happen is going to turn out the other way around, right? Hamlet is planning to really lay into her.
Thanks, dear my lord.
All right, so here we have a soliloquy here from the king. He is alone, and the purpose of soliloquy is to share innermost thoughts. So we're going to get some of his innermost thoughts here, and some more character delineation.
Oh, my offense is rank. It smells to heaven. It had the primal eldest curse upon it, the brother's murder.
All right, so right from the beginning here, he says, what I've done is disgusting. It's disturbing. It smells all the way to heaven. It stinks with rank, and like rank is rotting. It hath the primal eldest curse upon it. Let's take a look at the annotation here. God cursed Cain for murdering his brother Abel. So he's admitting here that in a way he has cursed himself. That's interesting.
Pray, can I not? Though inclination be as sharp as will, my stronger guilt defeats my strong intent, and like a man to double business bound, I stand in pause where I shall first begin, and both neglect. What if this cursed hand were thicker than itself with brother's blood? Is there not rain enough in the sweet heavens to wash it white as snow?
All right, so this is reminiscent of the speech from Macbeth when Lady Macbeth tries to wash her hands, and there isn't enough water in the ocean to clean her hands. That's how guilty she is. So this is very reminiscent of that. My hands are so guilty, there isn't enough rain to clean them. And then he says, I do feel guilt, but not enough, right? He's trying to pray.
Whereto serves mercy, but to confront the visage of offence. And what's in prayer but this twofold force, to be forestalled ere we come to fall, or pardoned being down? Then I look up. My fault is past.
All right, so the two purposes of prayer are to prevent sin before it happens. Well, that doesn't really apply to him because he's already sinned. Or to pardon it afterwards. So he's saying, I think I'm going to try to get pardoned because I've already sinned. My fault is past.
But oh, what form of prayer can serve my turn? Forgive me my foul murder. That cannot be, since I am still possessed of those effects for which I did the murder. My crown, mine own ambition, and my queen. May one be pardoned and retain defense? In upon the corrupted currents of this world, offence's gilded hand may shove by justice, and oft is seen the wicked prize itself buys out the law. But 'tis not so above.
All right, so he says, can I be pardoned? Can I be forgiven if I still have the crown and still have the queen?
It's not the end of the period. I need those students who need photo retakes with the last name starting with M through Z to make their way to SO3, which is by the wrestling room. And once again, students with the last names M through Z to SO3 across from the wrestling room for photo retakes. Thank you.
All right, so he's still benefiting from the crime. So if he's still benefiting from the crime, is he really truly sorry? Can he be forgiven? And then he says, well, in our world now, you can just pay somebody out. Just, you can, how does he put it here? In the corrupted currents of this world, our world now is so corrupted, he says, that if you have an offense, you can just gild a hand, put money in somebody's hand, put gold in somebody's hand, and all of a sudden your offense is gone. Unfortunately, the same is true in our world now, right? Just pay people out. But he says, but up in heaven, that's not how it is. I can't pay God.
There is no shuffling. There the action lies in his true nature, and we ourselves compelled, even to the teeth and forehead of our faults, to give in evidence. What then? What rests? Try what repentance can. What can it not? Yet, what can it when one cannot repent?
So he's admitting it. He's saying, all right, so I'm not going to give back the crown. I'm not going to give back my wife. I'm not prepared to come clean on any of this. So he says, can I really be forgiven? And he says, if I don't come clean for my sins, I don't think I'm going to even make it into heaven. And then he says, I'll try to repent as much as I can. But then he says, but how do you do it when you can't really feel sorry for what you've done? This reminds me of like a sociopath, right? No remorse. Oh, wretched state. Oh, bosom black as death. Again, here we have some color symbolism. He is. His soul is black as death. If you can kill your brother and not have any remorse, really, he says, well, I don't really have remorse for this. I'm kind of happy I have the crown and the queen. I don't really want to admit, and be forgiven. So then he says, that struggle to be free art more engaged. It's entangled. He is trapped. No way out. So this is interesting. There's a parallel here with Hamlet and Claudius. They both are trapped, right? But the unfortunate thing is that Hamlet didn't create his situation. Claudius did. Claudius did create it for himself. So he is trapped. Help, angels, make an attempt for me to bow my stubborn knees. I don't really want to get down there and pray and ask forgiveness. He's got stubborn knees. He's not truly sorry. And heart with strings of steel. So his heartstrings, they don't melt, they're not mushy, he feels very little. He's coming right out and saying it. He's probably on the sociopathic spectrum there. But softest sinews of the newborn babe. So he says, take my cold-hearted steel heart and turn it into like the soft sinews, the soft muscles of a newborn babe. All may be well. But is that going to happen overnight?
Oh, wretched state. Oh, bosom black as death. Oh, limed soul that's struggling to be free, art more engaged. Help, angels. Make essay. Bow, stubborn knees and heart with strings of steel. Be soft as sinews of the newborn babe. All may be well.
Okay, so it's too bad that Hamlet didn't actually come in just a few moments earlier and actually hear that he's not really that sorry. He comes in because that actually would have been a good time to, right? But he comes in at the end and he thinks, oh, he's truly sorry. I can't kill him now.
Now might I do it? That.
I might do it now easily.
He's praying. And now I'll do it. And so he goes to heaven. And so am I revenged. That would be scanned. A villain kills my father, and for that I, his sole son, to this same villain send to heaven. Oh, this is hire and salary, not revenge.
So he says, I would just be acting like a hired killer.
He took my father grossly, full of bread, with all his crimes broad blown, as flush as May. And how his audit stands, who knows save heaven? But in our circumstance and course of thought, 'tis heavy with him. And am I then revenged to take him in the purging of his soul, when he is fit and seasoned for his passage?
All right, so here we have some more truth versus deception, or appearance versus reality. Hamlet believes that he is sorry and that he'll go to heaven if he kills him right now, that Claudius is sorry. However, that's not really true. It only appears to be true, right? Appearance versus reality. So he says, if I kill him right now, he's going to go straight to heaven because he's praying for forgiveness. And he said, that doesn't get me the revenge that I really want. Back to Dylan's question here. Sure, it gets rid of him and it might get his father out of purgatory, but it's not going to satisfy his need for revenge. And so he says, I must consider this very, very carefully.
No. Up sword, and though thou art more horrid hent, when he is drunk asleep, or in his rage, or in the incestuous pleasure of his bed, at gaming, swearing, or about some act that hath no relish of salvation in't, then trip him, that his heels may kick at heaven.
Okay, so we've got some good imagery here. So he says, no, you know what? I'm going to wait for a more horrid hint, a better opportunity here. When he's drunk asleep, or he's in his incestuous bed, or he's gambling or swearing, then I can be sure that he has no chance of being saved in heaven. His salvation is questionable. So he says, I want him to make sure that when I trip him, that he falls and his heels kick at heaven, going down to hell, right? So we've got some good imagery here.
And that his soul may be as damned and black as hell whereto it goes. My mother stays. This physic but prolongs thy sickly days.
Yeah, so I've got to wait some more.
My words fly up. My thoughts remain below. Words without thoughts never to heaven go.
And here we have some timing, right? So right after his little speech there, Hamlet leaves, he exits. Too bad he doesn't stay for one more moment to hear Claudius say, my words, I'm saying the words, they're flying up there, but because I don't truly mean them, they're not going to get there. My thoughts remain below. Words without thoughts, never to heaven go. They're not going to make it there. So, yeah, I don't really mean the words that I'm saying. Therefore, heaven can't hear them. All right, let's get right into Act 3, Scene 4 here. In this scene, Polonius hides behind a tapestry, he calls it an arras, in the queen's room, just as Hamlet is arriving. When Hamlet speaks harshly to Gertrude, she fears that he might actually hurt her. He's doing a really good job, right? And she cries out. When Polonius also cries out, Hamlet thinks he has caught Claudius spying and thrusts his sword through the tapestry, killing Polonius. So again, appearance versus reality. He thinks it's the king. It really isn't. As Hamlet is shaming his mother for marrying Claudius, the ghost appears to Hamlet. Gertrude, however, cannot see the ghost. And this is something that we maybe should discuss. Why not? Why can't she see the ghost? Horatio can see the ghost. The officers at the beginning can see the ghost. Why not Gertrude? The ghost maybe doesn't want Gertrude to see him. Maybe he's protecting her. Maybe he loved her too dearly to put her through this. Who knows? So Gertrude, however, cannot see the ghost and thinks Hamlet must be insane. After Hamlet convinces Gertrude of his own sanity and her immorality in marrying Claudius, she promises to lie to the king by telling him that Hamlet is indeed mad. So this is some progress here with Gertrude. So she thinks he's crazy. He's able to convince her that he's not. And then he says, I've just told her the truth, that I'm just pretending. Mother, you better promise me that you're not going to betray me to Claudius. And she promises that she won't. Lots is invested here, right? Because he has a huge hate on for women right now because of her initial betrayal. So let's see if she can keep her promise. Yes?
I think that's a question, but doesn't Gertrude know that Claudius killed his face?
Previous to this, she did not. And Hamlet wasn't too sure about that, right? But he's going to get to the heart of the matter here. He's going to try and figure this out. We're going to get the answer in this next scene. Good question. All right. So the queen's closet, which is a room, enter the queen and Polonius.
He will come straight. Look you lay home to him. Tell him his pranks have been too broad to bear with, and that your grace hath screened and stood between much heat and him. I'll silence me in here. Pray you be round with him, mother.
I'll warrant you, fear me not. Withdraw, I hear him coming.
All right, so check out Polonius. He's got some nerve. Telling the queen what to say to her son. You be direct. You just be round with him. You make sure that you zone right in. Don't be too broad, unrestrained. Be extreme with him. And she says, I will. Oh, don't worry, I will. I warrant you. Fear me not. I will be very extreme, which is, as we said, kind of ironic because the opposite is what's really going to happen.
Now, Mother, what's the matter?
Hamlet, thou hast thy father much offended.
Mother, you have my father much offended.
Zing, right? He keeps zinging her. So, but she starts out good. She starts out strong. She's going to be extreme.
And you answer with an idle tongue.
Go, you question with a wicked tongue.
Zing again. So you have an idle tongue, you have a silly tongue. And he says, yeah? Well, at least I don't have a wicked tongue.
Now, Hamlet.
What's the matter now?
Have you forgot me?
No, by the road, not so. You are the queen, your husband's brother's wife.
Zing again.
And would it were not so, you are my mother.
Nay, then I'll set those to you that can speak.
Come and sit you down, you shall not budge. You go not till I set you up a glass where you may see the inmost part of you.
All right, so here's his plan. You're going nowhere, lady. You're sitting right down, and I'm going to hold a mirror up to your actions. Not a literal mirror, but a figurative mirror, right? This is his plan. Hold up a mirror, a glass, where you may see the inmost part of you.
I'll do that when they murder me. Help! Help!
A rat dead for a ducat.
Oh, interesting. So Polonius starts to scream too. He doesn't know what's going on. Oh, is he going to kill me too? Yeah. Hamlet says, drawing, how now a rat. Interesting, because he just composed, or somewhat composed, a play called The Mousetrap, trying to catch the conscience of the king, whom he considers a rat. And so he says, how now a rat? He thinks it's Claudius behind the curtain. And this is important to note, that he does not kill Polonius on purpose.
Dead! I am slain.
He says dead for a ducat, dead. And this is interesting. dead for a gold coin. Well, this is interesting because, of course, we know Polonius is all about the money, right?
Oh, me. What hast thou done?
May I know not. Is it the king?
Oh, what a rash and bloody deed is this?
A bloody deed, almost as bad, good mother, as kill a king and marry with his brother.
As kill a king?
All right, so here we answer your question here. Is she aware that Claudius has killed her husband? She is not. So he says, you think me killing Polonius is a bloody deed? What do you think about your husband killing my father, killing a king? And she says, what? As kill a king? Yep.
How did Polonius die? Like,
He's hiding behind the this kind of rug on the wall. And when Gertrude is afraid for her life, she thinks he's going too far. She doesn't trust him. So she screams out, help me, help, ho! And Polonius, from behind the curtain, or this carpet thing, cries out too. So Hamlet hears him behind the curtain, behind this tapestry. He takes out his sword and he stabs him right through the tapestry. Yeah, don't be afraid to ask questions. So zing again. Is it as bad as kill a king and marry with his brother? You harlot, zing. And she reveals that she is innocent. What? Kill a king? Yeah.
Lady, 'twas my word.
Yeah, kill a king. I'm telling you the truth.
Thou wretched, rash, intruding fool. Farewell. I took thee for thy better. Take thy fortune. Thou find'st to be too busy is some danger. Leave wringing of your hands. Peace, sit you down and let me wring your heart. For so I shall it be made of penetrable stuff. If damned that custom of not brass it sewed, it be proof and bulwark against sense.
All right, so let's take a look at this last little section. The first part of it, he's actually talking to Polonius. The second part, he's addressing his mother. So in the first part, he says, thou wretched, rash, intruding food, farewell. You have stuck your nose in here one too many times. Intruding food. Food for who? The worms. I took thee for better. I thought you were better than that, Polonius. Take thy fortune. This is your fate. This is what fortune has brought to you. I didn't mean to kill you, but accept your fortune. Thou find'st to be busy is some danger. So your spying has led you to your own fate, to your own fortune. Now the next few lines, he's addressing his mother. Leave wringing of your hands. She's worried. Leave that alone, mother. Peace, sit you down right now, lady, and let me wring your heart. For I shall do it, if it be made of anything that is penetrable. If it's soft enough to get any emotion in there. If damned custom, sinful habits have not covered it so, if your heart has not been covered by your incestuous behavior, that it be proof and bulwark enough sense. If it is impenetrable at all, if I can get in there, I'm going to try. So the queen, what have I done that thou darest wag thy tongue in noise so rude against me?
Done that thou darest wag thy tongue in noise so rude against me.
Such an act that blurs the grace and blush of modesty, calls virtue hypocrite, takes off the rose from the fair forehead of an innocent love and sets a blister there.
All right, so let's take a look at the annotation here. Sets a blister there. Hamlet is referring to the practice of branding the foreheads of prostitutes. So he is lumping her into that same sum as a harlot, right? What have you done? Are you kidding me? You've been a harlot. Look at your behavior.
Makes marriage vows as false as dice as oaths.
You have made your marriage vow to my father as a dicer's oath, as a prostitute lying.
Such a deed as from the body of contraction plucks the very soul, and sweet religion makes a rhapsody of words.
Your marriage contract is just a string of meaningless words. Oh, he's going for it.
Heaven's face doth glow, yea, this solidity and compound mass, with tristful visage as against the doom, is thought sick at the act.
Even the earth is sorrowful, as if it were doomsday, because of your actions.
Me, what act that roars so loud and thunders in the index?
Yeah, so she's innocent. She has no idea what she has done that deserves such a violent introduction.
Here, upon this picture, and on this, the counterfeit presentment of two brothers. See what a grace was seated on this brow, Hyperion's curls, the front of Jove himself, an eye like Mars to threaten or command, a station like the herald Mercury new lighted on a heaven-kissing hill.
Okay, so he says, what have you done? Let's consider this picture. We have two brothers. One of them is like Jove himself, Zeus. And he has a wonderful strategic eye like Mars, who can command like Mercury, the messenger of God. So he's talking about his father, sitting on Mount Olympus, new lighted on heaven's kissing hill. Olympus. So like Zeus, my father was. So godlike. And then he goes on to talk about his uncle.
A combination and a form indeed where every god did seem to set his seal to give the world assurance of a man. This was your husband.
All right, so this is your husband. All good things.
Look you now what follows. Here is your husband, like a mildewed ear blasting his wholesome brother.
A rotten ear of corn. That's all he is. Your new husband. Blasting his wholesome brother, taking advantage.
Have you eyes? Could you on this fair mountain leave to feed and batten on this moor?
Have you enough sight left in your incestuous eyes to see how you have been fattening, eating gluttonously on this incestuous hill?
You eyes? You cannot call it love, for at your age the heyday in the blood is tame, it's humble and waits upon the judgment. And what judgment would step from this to this?
So he says, what are you doing, mother? Are you really in love with him? Look at you at your age, you can't call this, lust, because apparently when you get older, you don't have lust. That's what he's saying, I guess. Anyways, he says, have you any eyes? Like, can you not see this? At your age, the blood is tame. So then, if it's not true love, what the heck are you doing there? That you would step from this Zeus, God-like like person, to this angel versus devil, right?
Sense sure you have, as could you not have motion. But sure that sense is apoplexed, for madness would not err, nor sense to ecstasy was ne'er so thrall, but it reserved some quantity of choice to serve in such a difference.
So do you have any of your senses left? Obviously your eyesight isn't working too well, but what about the rest of your senses? Do you have any sense left to be able to see how mad you must be to go from this to this, right? Sense, sure you have. Do you still have your senses? So again, hinting at the theme of madness. Do you have all your sense? Are you balanced? Or are you mad, mother?
What devil was that thus hath cozened you at hoodman blind? Eyes without feeling, feeling without sight, ears without hands or eyes, smelling sands all. Oh, but a sickly part of one true sense could not so mope. Oh, shame, where is thy blush?
Where's your blush? You should be ashamed at your actions, mother. You have eyes without feeling, feeling without sight, ears without hands or eyes. You've lost all your senses. You are playing blind man's bluff. What are you doing?
Hush, rebellious hell, if thou canst mute it in a matron's bones, to flaming youth let virtue be as wax, and melt in her own fire, proclaim no shame when the compulsive ardor gives the charge, since frost itself as actively doth burn, as reason panders will.
Oh, Hamlet, speak no more, thou turns mine eyes into my very soul.
So it has worked. She cannot stand this mirror up to her any longer, and she says, enough, son. Stop. speak no more. Thou turnst mine eyes into my very soul. And she wasn't able to do that before. Probably, and let's give her some credit. She probably was going through PTSD too. Her husband died. She's in shock. There's numbness overcomes you when you go into PTSD. It's only been a couple months since her husband died. She's very likely still in PTSD. But this little speech here that Hamlet has given her has made her come out of this numbness, and she doesn't like it. She's looking into her own very soul. His plan is working.
And there I see such black and grey-net spots as will not leave their tinct.
Nay, but to live in the rank sweat of an enseamed bed, stewed in corruption, honeying and making love over the nasty style.
Oh, speak to me no more.
All right, so he keeps going though. He's letting her have it. She says, I do see what you're talking about now. I see right into my very soul. I see black and permanent stains there, and they will not lose their color. I have made a huge mistake. And Hamlet says, oh, but how can you live with these mistakes? But to live in the rank sweat, the rotting sweat of your incestuous bed, stewed in corruption. So again here, reference to toxicity, diseased, corruption, honeying and making love in that nasty, nasty bed. Oh, speak no more.
These words like daggers enter in mine ears no more, sweet Hamlet.
All right, so he said in the previous scene that he was going to speak daggers, but use none. He wasn't going to really go so far as to kill her with his words, but he was going to use daggers, right? And so she says here, these words like daggers enter into my ears no more, sweet Hamlet. She's not angry at him. She realizes that what he's saying is the truth.
And a villain, a slave, that is not 20th part the tithe of your precedent lord, a vice of kings, a cutpurse of the empire and the rule, that from a shelf the precious diadem stole and put it in his pocket.
All right, so he's talking about Claudius here, right? A murderer and a villain, a slave that is not 20th part of the tithe, not even a small fraction of your former husband. He is a vice of kings, a villain king, a cutpurse, a thief, and he is. He stole his brother's crown and wife. So he stole a cutpurse. He's a thief of the whole empire and of the rule. That from a shelf the precious diadem stole. So he took the diadem, the crown, and then he put it in his pocket. That little villain thief. No more. She's trying to live in denial, but she's coming out of it, right?
A king of shreds and patches.
Let's take a look here. A king of shreds and patches, multicolored rags, shreds and patches were the costume worn by a professional clown. So he's calling his uncle a clown. You go from Zeus to a clown. All of a sudden, the ghost enters. And he speaks to the ghost.
Save me, and hover on me with your wings, you heavenly gods. What would your gracious figure?
He is mad.
All right, so again, Hamlet has decided that this ghost is not an evil ghost. It is not the devil in disguise, that it is truly like an angelic ghost. Like, guard me with your wings, your angelic wings.
Do you not come your tardy son to chide? That lapsed in time and passion lets go by the important acting of your dread command?
What are you doing here? Have you come to give me hell for being tardy, for not acting as quickly as I said I would, right? Have you come here to chide me, to give me heck for being tardy, for being late in what I promised to do? That lapsed in time and passion. Is that why you're here?
And, oh, say, do not forget, this visitation is but to whet thy almost blunted purpose.
So he says, don't worry, don't fret. This visitation, I'm here to tell you, you need to get back on your original course. You're off track here, buddy. You know, lay off your mom and get back onto the idea of revenge and getting me out of purgatory, basically.
But look, amazement on thy mother sits. Oh, step between her and her fighting soul. Conceit in weakest bodies, strongest works. Speak to her, Hamlet.
All right, so he says, lay off your mother. Like, look at her. Have mercy on her fighting soul. And because we know what PTSD is now, she's likely just starting to maybe come out of it. And the ghost says, just lay off of her. Talk to her in a different tone now. Take some mercy on her. And Hamlet does. So he looks over and he says, oh, mother, how are you? How are you doing?
How is it with you, lady?
Alas, how is it with you that you do bend your eye on vacancy and with the incorporeal air do hold discourse?
What do you mean, am I okay? Are you okay? You're having a conversation with the air.
Forth at your eyes your spirits wildly peep, and as the sleeping soldiers in the alarm, your bedded hair like life in excrement start up and stand on end. O gentle sun, upon the heat and flame of thy distemper sprinkle cool patience.
So she says, please calm down. You're so wild right now that it's like every outgrowth that you have is standing up on end.
Whereon do you look?
On him. Look you how pale he glares. His form and cause conjoined, preaching to stones would make them capable. Do not look upon me. Lest with this piteous action you convert my stern effects, then what I have to do will want true color.
So don't you see the ghost? A reasonable assumption as Horatio and the officers saw it. What do you mean, you don't see the ghost? And she says no. Yeah, so then he says, lest this piteous action you convert my stern effects. Don't look at me right now, mother, because I might start to have too much pity on you, and then my heart will grow soft and I won't be able to do what I need to do, which is kill the king.
Tears perchance for blood.
To whom do you speak this?
Do you see nothing there?
Nothing at all, yet all that is I see.
Nor do you nothing here?
No, nothing but ourselves.
Why, look you there, look how it steals away. My father in his habit as he lived. Look where he goes, even now, out at the portal.
This is the very coinage of your brain. This bodiless creation, ecstasy, is very cunning.
You have invented this in your brain. When they talk about ecstasy, what they're talking about is madness. You've created this madness all in your brain, son. It's very cunning indeed. Madness can easily create such hallucinations.
Ecstasy.
Madness?
My pulse as yours doth temperately keep time and makes us healthful music. It is not madness that I have uttered.
I am in perfect health. I'm not crazy.
Bring me to the test, and either matter will reword which madness would gamble from. Mother, for love of grace, lay not a flattering unction to your soul that not your trespass but my madness speaks.
Do not console yourself by thinking this is about me. It's not about me. It's about your sins here, mother. Don't deflect this back on me, he's saying.
But skin and film the ulcerous place, whilst rank corruption mining all within infects unseen. Confess yourself to heaven. Repent what's past. Avoid what is to come.
All right, so he gets right to the point here. Mother, if you really are sorry, you must confess your sins, ask for forgiveness, and change your ways. Don't try and turn this around and say it's about my madness. It's not. We're talking about your sins here. And then he says, if you try to deflect, it will form a scab over the infected area while the infection continues spreading underneath. So we need to get you to confess so that the infection that you have created, the sins don't keep spreading like a disease. Confess yourself to heaven.
And do not spread the compost on the weeds to make them ranker.
Okay, so don't put compost on the weeds, which will cause the evil weeds to grow more. We have a reference here to the diseased garden theme.
Forgive me this, my virtue. For in the fatness of these pursy times, virtue itself of vice must pardon, beg, yea.
Forgive me for being self-righteous here and telling you what to do. Goodness, in this day and age, bends its knees to evil, literally, right? Because everybody is bending their knees to Claudius.
Curb and woo for leave to doing good.
Bend and beg in order to change. You have to work hard to be good.
Oh, Hamlet, thou hast cleft my heart in twain.
You have broken my heart, divided my loyalties, and that's exactly what he wanted to do.
Uh-oh. Throw away the worser part of it, and live the purer with the other half.
So here we have some more imagery. You've divided my loyalties. There's Claudius here and there's you over here. And so evil or good. And he says, all right, get rid of the worst part. Oh, throw away the worser part of it. Pretend to be virtuous even if you're not.
But go not to my uncle's bed. Assume a virtue if you have it not. That monster custom, who all sense doth eat of habits evil, is angel yet in this, that to the use of actions fair and good, he likewise gives a frock or livery that aptly is put on. Refrain tonight, and that shall lend a kind of easiness to the next abstinence, the next more easy.
So he says, don't go to his incestuous bed tonight. It will get easier and easier. You just start a new habit and, just live virtuous.
For use almost can change the stamp of nature, and either quell the devil or throw him out with wondrous potency.
You'll be able to get rid of him that way. Start a new habit. Forming a new habit can change an ingrained quality.
Once more, good night. And when you are desirous to be blessed, I'll blessing beg of you. For this same Lord.
All right, so this contrasts the whole scene where Claudius was trying to ask forgiveness, but he just couldn't do it because he didn't mean it. And he admits it, I don't really mean it. And then here we see that he genuinely means it. And he says, Mother, when you are wanting to be forgiven, come and talk to me, and I have my own forgiveness to ask of you. And he says, I will beg forgiveness of you, and also for killing this same Lord, for killing Polonius. So he's not mad. He's proving it to her, somewhat. And we see here that he really is sorry for killing Polonius. It was a mistake.
I do repent.
I am sorry.
But heaven hath pleased it so, to punish me with this and this with me, that I must be their scourge and minister. I will bestow him, and will answer well the death I gave him.
So he says, I am sorry, but heaven has made this my fate, fortune, that I must be the scourge and the minister of this. So he says, I'm trying to rid this country of disease, but I'm also part of it in killing, right? So he's becoming part of the evil by carrying out his wish for revenge and trying to get rid of the evil. It's like a double-edged sword, right? But he says, I will at some point be accountable for this. And then he says, good night, Mother. I must be cruel only to be kind. So he says, please understand that I was so mean to you only because in the end I'm trying to save your soul. I'm trying to help you be better.
So, again, good night. I must be cruel only to be kind. Thus bad begins and worse remains behind. One word more, good lady.
So he says, thus bad begins, the worse remains. It's going to get worse before it gets better.
What shall I do?
Not this by no means that I bid you do. Let the bloat king tempt you again to bed.
So he says, hey, wait a minute. You know what you should do? I take it back what I said. Don't go to his bed. He says, actually, go to his bed.
Excuse me for the interruption. It's not the end of the period. However, I need Mr. Frederickson's period 4 or period 5 computer science class dismissed to the bus loading zone right away. Thank you.
All right, so he says, actually, not this, don't do that, that I bid you to do before. Let the bloat king tempt you again to bed. And let's see what he says.
Hence wanton on your cheek, call you his mouse, and let him for a pair of reachy kisses or paddling in your neck with his damned fingers, make you to ravel all this matter out, that I essentially am not in madness, but mad in craft. 'Twere good you let him know, for who that's but a queen, fair, sober, wise, would from a paddock, from a bat, a jib, such dear concernings hide? Who would do so? No, in despite of sense and secrecy, unpeg the basket on the house's top, let the birds fly, and like the famous ape, to try conclusions in the basket creep, and break your own neck down.
So he says, you know what? Why don't you just go to his bed and tell him everything that happened? Isn't that what you're going to do? Is that what you're going to do? Go to his bed and tell him that I'm not really crazy, that I think he killed my father, that he tried to, convince you to ask for forgiveness. Are you going to tell him everything? Are you going to just dismiss what I said? And are you going to tell him everything? You're going to betray me more.
Be thou assured, may words be made of breath and breath of life. I have no life to breathe what thou hast said to me.
I will not betray your secrets, do not worry. I will not tell him that you aren't really crazy. You can trust me, she says.
I must to England. You know that?
Alack, I had forgot 'tis so concluded on.
There's letters sealed, and my 2 schoolfellows, whom I will trust as I will adders fanged, they bear the mended. They must sweep my way and marshal me to knavery.
Okay, so she says, don't worry, I won't say anything. And he says, did you forget I have to go to England? And she says, oh, I did forget. That's all that matter's already done, isn't it? And he says, yes, it's already done. The letters are sealed. Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, my 2 schoolfellows, are going to be, accompanying me there. He says, oh, yes, I trust them as I would trust fanged serpents. Adult fanged serpents. He doesn't trust them. They bear documents requesting that I go to England. There's not a thing he can do about it, right? They must sweep my way. They must clear my path and marshal me to knavery. They are going to make me suffer for their foolishness or lead me to more evilness.
Let it work. For 'tis the sport to have the engineer hoist with his own
Sorry, I'm going to just throw in that a little.
fellows, whom I will trust as I will adders fanged. They bear the mended. They must sweep my way and marshal me to knavery. Let it work. For 'tis the sport to have the engineer hoist with his own petard, and shall go hard, but I will delve 1 yard below their minds and blow them at the moon.
All right, so this is important to address this imagery here. So he says, yeah, Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, they are delivering me to England, and that's going to make me suffer for their foolishness, or it's going to turn me so evil against them that it's going to lead to their own destruction. And he says, hoist with their own petard, blown up by their own bombs. They've created this situation. And so they're going to have to, it may happen that their own actions are going to lead them to their own destruction. They're going to be blown up by their own bombs. And then he says, and don't worry, I will delve 1 yard below their minds. So I am 1 step ahead of them. And he is going to be. And blow them at the moon. He's going to just blow them sky high with their own bombs.
Oh, 'tis most sweet when in 1 line 2 crafts directly meet.
So he has a huge hate on for them. Appearance versus reality. He's acting like he doesn't, but he does. And he says he's going to be happy when the 2 crafts, they meet, blown up on the way to the moon.
This man shall set me packing.
This man talking about Polonius, dead on the floor.
I'll let the guts into the naval room. Mother, good night. Indeed, this counselor is now most still
Okay, so he says, I'm going to take his body, I'm going to lug it into the next room, Mother. And he says, certainly this counselor, this Polonius, this counselor to the king, is now most still. He's pretty dead. Most secret and most grave. It is a secret, and he is going to his grave. So we have a pun here. Who was in life a foolish, prating knave. He was a bad guy in this life. He was very true, a very foolish, true. Without him, would this even be a tragedy?
Most secret and most grave, that was in life a foolish, prating knave.
And he was.
Come, sir, to draw toward an end with you.
And he's talking to Polonius now. Come with me, sir. I'm going to drag you toward your end. Finish my business.
Good night, Mother.
And Hamlet leaves, dragging out the body of Polonius. All right. Okay. And that's the end of Act 3.